Aye.
Okay, would the clerk please call roll? It's the Attica City Council, 6/9/25.
Mayor Grant,
Present?
Mrs. Carnahan, Mr. Moss,
Present.
Mr. Pointer,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Roderick,
Present.
Attorney Barrs. Junior Council, Morgan Wood, Lillian Irwin, Jocelyn Burnett, Grace Hiller,
Present.
Caden Ashley. Mayor?
Okay, thank you for being here, Grace. The only one tonight. Just for everybody's information, I did ask Grace to help out with backfilling the junior council members as we move into next year. So we'll get started. So we'll be working on that, and hopefully we'll have some nominations for that. Go ahead on the agenda here. Approval of minutes from the last meeting. That would be May 12th. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for May 12th as written.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
That. Citizens petitions. One of the things I have on here already is a community foundation kayak rental kiosk at the riverfront.
Thank you. Some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Dale White. I'm the executive director of the Western Indiana Community Foundation. We serve Fountain County and we serve Vermilion County, Indiana. And so I'm here to talk to you just briefly about the Wabash River Blueway. So in December, it was announced by the Lilly Endowment that we got approved, the Community Foundation got approved for a $3 million grant that we're calling the Wabash River Blueway Project. It's a 3-county partnership between Warren County Community Foundation and the Western Indiana Community Foundation, which is Fountain County and Vermilion County. So there's 74 miles of the Wabash River from northern part of Warren County to the southern part of Vermilion County. So the purpose of the Blueway is to bring life and to bring activity to the Wabash River and some of the larger tributaries to the Wabash River. And we don't have time today to go through our 30-page grant application and some of the bullet points, some of the activities that we're going to do, but some of it's going to benefit Attica directly. And so there's just going to be one piece of that we're going to talk to you tonight about. And then if you have questions, we can talk about those. And if we need to get on the agenda for another time, we would like to do that as well. But we will be at some point in time, either tonight or the next time or the time after that, seeking your approval for what we're going to talk to you about tonight. So I have with me tonight, this is Nathan Hale. Nathan comes to us, he's a graduate of Seeger High School. He currently attends Ball State University, and he's a full-time intern at the Warren County Community Foundation for the course of this summer. So his direct supervisor, many of you know, is Michelle Stuckey. She and her husband are on a 3-week excursion in Alaska, I think, starting at the end of last week. And so I'm going to turn it over to Nathan for a few minutes, and then between him and me, maybe we can answer some of your questions. But I'm going to, before I sit down, if you just take a little pass it around. And that's not related to tonight.
All right, so one of the few aspects that we are introducing into the Wabash River Blueway is a kayaking system that you can go, I don't know the exact routes, but you can go through Fountain, Vermilion, and Warren County as like one giant loop, or you can go from like point A to point B in each county. So the packets you have are for a company called Rent.Fund. I'll probably just mention them as Rent Fund to exclude the dot. One component of our grand plan are these kiosks. We already have approval from the Warren County Commissioners, the Williamsport Town Council, and the Vermilion County Commissioners, and we're hoping for your approval as well to be accepted at the Rent.Fund kiosks. Last week, Michelle Stuckey came to the Attica Park Board meeting to introduce the idea, and we're here to get your blessing on moving forward with the rent.fund. So these are self-service kiosks that house 4, 8, or 12 of the kayaks. The plan for Attica, I believe, is to have an 8-count storage container that will only house 4. So it's a route that people can take from Vermilion County down to Fountain County, drop off their kayak, and then take another one on the way. Or if they need to, they can take one from Fountain County and here in Attica, take it along the river or deposit it back. That way we've got 4 spots open if they're traveling across counties or even from different trails. And we also have 4 that are just gonna stay there permanently. A couple of things I do want to talk about is insurance. They have their own liability claims. I believe it's already in that packet that I gave you. It's probably towards the back. Yes. Rent.fund carries the liability policy, and the city would be added as an additional insured on the policy. So if you have any more questions, we do have more information about that. The grant will pay for the kiosks, and the rental price is up to, I think, us, but generally it's around $20 to $25. There are extra subscriptions that you can get at $99 for a yearly pass to all 200 that are in Indiana. On the very last page in your packet, there should be a list of counties that have already approved or they already have them, like LaPorte, Walnut Creek, South Bend, Warsaw, just to give a couple examples. Does anybody have any questions so far that I can answer?
I have a question.
Yes.
You said that there would be 4. How was that determined? Was it just?
It was just like a random number kind of thrown out. So we would have 4 stashed in there. There'd be 4 empty spaces. So if they're coming from one location to another, they can deposit 1.
Okay.
That way they have 5. And if someone comes up, then they can take 1 to another location.
And the 8-unit kiosk is movable. A forklift will pick it up and it can move it. So starting out, we're just guessing on how many
Okay.
we're gonna put at different locations and based upon activity and based upon traffic, which a staff person from rent.fund at any moment's notice, they can look on their phone and they can see how many kayaks have been rented by a particular kiosk. And so over time, we think we'll learn where the most popular spots are. We think Attica will probably always be a 8-unit kiosk or a 12-unit kiosk because you have the prime space. Covington doesn't have a lot of space on the river. Williamsport doesn't have a lot of space. So we think Attica will be a prime space.
And half the funds would be driven towards better launch points and upkeep for all of those kiosks and all the areas around them. And the other half would go back towards the community foundations.
And I'm sorry, it's probably in here, but if somebody wanted to go from point A to point B and drop their kayak or their canoe off or kayak, what if there's already 8 kayaks there? How does it?
Yeah, again, rent.fund will have, because of the volume that we're purchasing, our grant was $3 million. This is about $160,000 of the grant. A staff member comes with it. And so at all times, the staff member is going to know the status of the kiosk. We'll be traveling in their vehicle if there's issues that they have to deal
But that's
with.
really not the city's responsibility anyway.
No,
It's just to house the kiosks, make sure
Right.
it's okay on the land.
Yeah, there's no strings attached. It almost sounds too good to be true, if you will. But all that we really would need from the city, what we're going to be asking for, and Michelle made a presentation to the park board last week, and I've made a couple of visits with them also in the last year. All we're looking for from the city of Attica is approval to put a kiosk on the city of Attica property.
I love it.
That's all that we're really asking. The insurance is all taken care of. And we'll have sample documents for you that you can provide to your attorney for that.
That's what I was just going to ask that too.
And there will be an agreement between us and the city or
Honestly,
rent.fund and the
was my
city.
next question.
But there's no cost to the city. So it's all included in our grant. It's a 5-year grant. And so we're going to see how the rentals go. And again, this is only one piece of about 12 different activities. And we haven't got into yet talking about another company called Tandem Mobility, where you can rent bicycles. So on some places, if you get off when you're done with the kayak, you might be able to rent a bicycle to ride your bike back to the kiosk. Half of the
That's
grant
amazing. I
is
love
to
it.
improve public access sites. So you have a public access site that needs some improvements. And again, we have $1.5 million for the 74-mile stretch.
It's all paved.
So we want to improve the site. And I think maybe Mrs. Stuckey talked to the park board about, because we can't put the kiosk right by the river.
That was my next
because
question with
it
the flooding.
floods.
Yes,
Right.
how does that work?
But you've seen a picture of it, the water flows through it.
Mm-hmm.
But we think somewhere close, and this would be based upon the park board and your approvals, close to the pavilion or the shelter when you first go down into
I drove
Wabashi
down
Park.
by there actually after you'd mentioned this and looked at it, and I think there's a spot right between the restrooms and that shelter that's a little bit higher because we built that the restrooms up. Probably right on the backside of those restrooms would be the most likely spot and likely not to be flooded.
Right.
I love this idea. I think it's
Yeah,
such an
I do
awesome
too.
thing. I really love it.
How much does one of these kayaks weigh?
35 to 40 pounds.
Okay, so it's not
Yeah,
crazy.
they've gotten lighter over the years. So,
So-
thank
So it's not
goodness.
bad to walk it down to the
Yeah,
river, is
you
what you're
won't have
saying.
to-
And for me, they got heavier. I don't know.
So, Mr. White, have you decided on going with this rent fund? Is your deal done with them, or is there a competitor that we could also consider?
Yeah. We vetted some different groups prior to us writing the grant, and approval of the grant was conditional upon that we are shovel ready with the vendors that we have lined up.
Okay.
And so that's what we already did. We already vetted those, and we're not aware of another one that services Indiana. So that's kind of
Okay.
the default
Well, and I love that
position.
you could mention that you could buy like a yearly pass, and I love that you can go to all these different places that are already in Indiana.
Well,
that
and
they're
there's
using
there's
it, so
200
that's awesome.
locations across the country, and so you can use that same pass. If I think that's right, all across the country.
That's really cool.
And there's
So-
already some predetermined paths, I think, in the northern part of Indiana that might be able to, they can travel, take a loop there, take a loop down here, and just
That's
like a
awesome.
week out of it.
And we're
But
gonna-
go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
I do, like he was saying, we're hoping that, if they travel from point A to point B, then we can have a bicycle that can come back to point A. So that way it's a loop by themselves, but that's further later down the line after I'll be out, so.
And the company's pretty excited because most of their kayak kiosks are on large ponds or lakes. So where you get in is also where you take out. So ours is a little different, that it's going to be going down the Wabash River at different places. So it's going to be an experiment for them, an experiment for us to see what it's going to be like moving these around, from place to place.
So where would the next one be down the river from us? If you were to put in at Attica, where would you logistically come out at?
I think there's, if you go north, there's going to be a new ramp that goes in on Big Pine Creek up
So
there.
you come down Big Pine and get out of that.
Yeah, so a lot of people who aren't professional kayakers need to learn how to kayak or go out on their boats. And so there's two places. Big Pine will be one, Little Vermilion and Vermilion County are the two smaller tributaries that we're working on. For part of our grant includes summer camps, water safety for kids, curriculum for classrooms, all those kinds of things. But we think Williamsport is going to be the next stop from here. It's only going to be about 45 minutes. So it could be a four unit kiosk, 2 will be empty, 2 will be open, just depending on a multitude of things. Some families will have their own kayaks, so maybe we only have 2, they may have their own. So a lot of things we have to figure out, as we get this up off the ground.
I think
I
Chief
love
Little had a question.
I got a quick question. I'm thinking public safety wise. Are life jackets included in this?
Yes, there's personal flotation devices. I believe there's tubes, and there's also the kayak in there.
Okay.
So those are all included, and we'll hopefully, so there's a website that's also part of all of this promotionalness, and it will have safety demonstrations like through the fire departments around here, and we plan on having a PDF of a checklist that you should be checking off before you ever launch.
Perfect.
To be safe.
When are you gonna need approval for this?
The company is pushing us because they're pretty much done with all their kayak facilities for 2025. So we're trying to get on their books for 2026, and they're pushing us pretty hard right now. So as soon as you feel comfortable making a decision.
Mayor, do you see,
Bill, I'm sorry, we got one question
Okay.
over here.
Could we use our own kayaks, or is that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because I kayak Pine Creek to the river all the time.
This is
All
just
the time.
to make it more accessible for those who don't have a kayak or haven't bought one or anything like that. So if you just, I think you might be able to just rent a personal flotation device.
I see.
I wouldn't count on that though, but I would say you're more than welcome to use your own kayak. It's just for accessibility reasons for those that don't already own.
Because Pine Creek to the river is a really nice, it's a really nice venture.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great way to start.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Roderick, I didn't mean to cut you
I
off.
was just saying, if you wanted us to go ahead and vote tonight, I'd be happy to. I don't-
They take care of their own electric and everything to set that up.
It's solar.
Solar.
Yeah.
That's great.
So what are you asking from us? Are you just asking for an approval to set it at, or are you looking for a time frame or time frame and approval, or?
Good question. I think what would be best for you and would be an approval contingent upon the attorney's approval of the legal document giving us approval for the city to house the kiosk. So I don't know if did you include the document with it?
Yes, there should be a document.
Okay. Yeah, so we,
Okay, here it is on the back.
Oh, you did already? She's already looked at Warren County. So
okay, well, there you go.
That's what I said, isn't that convenient?
So convenient.
You shouldn't get charged for
So,
it.
so you've looked at the document and are you
It seems-
okay with it?
Seems
Does it
pretty
seem-
low risk. It seems reasonable. I mean, there'll be a waiver, I'm certain.
Yes, there's a
I saw
permanent waiver for everyone that signs up to the app. And again, you guys aren't liable. It's all through Rent.Fund. In my packet in there, it should say that Rent.Fund will take care of anything, like if someone gets sued, they take care of it, but they currently have had nobody. They currently haven't had anyone sue or have any legal
How long
issues.
have they been doing this?
That is a very good question.
Yesterday.
Makes it- The less time you're doing it, the
Yeah.
less you're sued.
Yeah.
So-
Right.
Only issue I have is how the waiver occurs on the super site.
Yeah, it was just a sample.
I was gonna say, but if you can send us a
Yeah.
corrected one, this should be.
Yeah.
So Warren County and Williamsport and all them's already approved this?
Commissioners approved it, Williamsport Council's approved it, Vermillion County Commissioners have approved it.
So basically, Attica is last one.
Yeah, Fountain County hasn't looked at it yet, so everybody that we eventually presented it to has approved it thus far.
Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna use this, just so you guys are aware. I have 8 kids, and I guess my thing is, if this matters at all to you guys, I would definitely, my kids and I would go from Attica to Williamsport. I like the shorter, you said possibly Williamsport being the drop off. I would 100% from someone that has a family in Attica love this idea. I know I would be a customer regularly, so.
You're gonna need to visit multiple kiosks.
Yeah, that's right. You're only taking half your family.
When he said, he's like, oh, there's only gonna be 4, I'm like,
Yeah.
Two per.
It's a mommy date on different days, Courtney. It's a mommy
So
date.
the
yeah,
kids are
I'm like,
tethered.
I'm gonna have like 2 kids in front of me, they're just gonna have to hold on really tight.
So do we have somebody from the park board here? Are you on the park board? Okay. Oh, Leslie, you're on the park?
Eli is.
Okay. So what's your recommendation on this? You guys looked at it, and what do you think about it?
Yeah, we all love the idea. We approved it pretty quickly. We think it would just be great for public access purposes, things like that.
So the agreement says it's exclusive. So what if somebody comes in with a bigger and better idea, even though they've got 3 million and they're offering to do it for free? We can't, this is an exclusive agreement. So do we sign an exclusive agreement, or do we ask them to take the exclusivity out of it?
I think this is giving us something that we didn't have, and I think that's good enough.
I don't know if there's a whole lot of these kind of things out there.
And my point would be, it's never happened, so.
Well, he just said there's nobody else in Indiana
Yeah.
doing this right
Right.
now. I mean, maybe down the road there would be, but
How long is the contract?
I believe it's for all 5 years that the
All 5
grant
years.
is
So it's for
started.
5 years?
And
Okay.
in my document that I was meant to read for word, but I can't, it states that it would, in hopes we would have somebody that would want to also rent out kayaks beside it. So whether or not it's through the Badlands and he's got huge stash of crates that you just go and buy off of, or someone else wants to become an entrepreneur and start the bike trails, it would be great for economic development for the long term.
So obviously, we're just starting out. We can't cover every eventuality.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
don't know every issue that's gonna come up.
So-
But this is just our good faith effort to lift it up off the ground if it's something out of.
Well, I generally like it. So, Ms. Barnes, do you think that we should, be able to end this, sever the contract at any time? Because right now we can't, the way it reads.
So when they send me the final one, I have two changes, and it would be the same two changes for you guys that I recommended to the commissioners and to the Williamsport. Is on your termination clause. Normally, I'm used to seeing a termination clause, with 60 days or 90 days written notice to either side. If you guys need to remove them, or if we are moving or doing something in the park, we'll give you guys a heads up. That's change 1, and that's in paragraph 5. And that gives us an out, that's an escape hatch. And then my last one is in 14, and that venues it in Louisiana, and we always ask that that be moved up to Indiana.
It looks like they were founded in 2021. That's what I was looking up on my phone.
So, Dwayne, you indicated you'd like to make a motion. Would you like to make a motion contingent upon the changes to the contract?
Yes, I would.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
I'm excited about this. This is
So
cool.
well,
this
thank you,
is neat.
everybody.
Yeah,
So
let's-
we'll come back and report in from time to time. Eli and his team will have firsthand information on how it's going. So appreciate your support and.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
packet, by the way.
Call
This
us
was
out if
super
it's not
helpful.
working
I
well.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think it'd be a
Yes.
great thing, especially get on social media, let people know, because it's another alternative that they can do.
And maybe it'll bring more people in too, that, like you said, that are buying the year pass. When I was on their website, it's $99 for the
They
year.
have
Campers
camping
down
available.
there.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
just gonna say.
campers
Yeah.
can
Campers.
If Nathan and I have like 3 minutes, we can tell you a couple of things about
Sure,
that.
yeah.
Is that okay with you?
I think it's worth it.
So, one thing that we're doing is we partnered with a company, you can write this down, called Travel Story GPS.
Travel, what is it?
Travel Story GPS, all one word. Travel Story GPS.
Storage or story?
Story, like we're gonna tell a story.
Okay.
Travel Story GPS. And you start out at Independence and you're on your craft and you're coming down the river from all the way to Clinton, Indiana. We're going to have 25 stories that are going to be told on an audio app when your kayak or paddlecraft crosses a geo-fenced area. So when you get to certain places down here, crossing the river, there's going to be a 3-minute story about Cottrell Village. And so there's going to be stories like that all the way down the river if somebody has that app downloaded and they want to listen to stories. So that's one thing that we have. The other that we spend a lot of time with is it's another app. And it's all one word. If you've heard the word bandwagon, this app is called Bandwango. BANDWANGO, right, Nathan? And you can jump in here, Nathan. So we have entered in places to eat in Attica, things to do in Attica, sculptures in Attica, that when paddlecrafters come and they want to get out or they're coming to Attica, Nathan would know more about this than me. It's a gaming app. So if somebody gets out and they come visit 3 restaurants, they can just pull into the parking lot, check into those 3 restaurants. They're going to end up winning certain points. And when you end up with a certain number of points, then you get some free merchandise or you're going to get discounts.
So
at
currently we
places.
have discounts. So it'll be, let's see, Warren County, I think we've got Arnie's as one, it's $25. And then I couldn't tell you the other 2, I haven't been working on it recently. But insert a business name in Attica or Fountain County, and then insert a business name in Vermilion County. So you get 25, then 50, then $100 off of one of those 3 places. And it's an enter to win. So if 100 people enter, it's just one of the 100.
Yeah.
The hope is after we've gotten this first round done, it's first year span ends, that the next year we'll hop on some merchandise at our Wabash River Blue Wave merch. And the hope that we can drive in is also some more economic development. So people are visiting your locations, like the places you can eat or the places you can go to. Gosh, this is the time I forget all the places in Attica.
It's okay.
Well,
Yeah, so
Crossroads,
Badlands is
Maggie's.
part of it. There's rewards that you get, prizes at Harrison Hills Golf Club, Maggie's Grill, Crossroads, the Devon Theater, all those kinds of things. So it's kind of a gamey map to lure people in. And it's new to me because I'm not a gamer, but for those who are, it's a big deal. And so we probably have 200 locations between Independence and Clinton, Indiana, listed so that you can go into the app actually and just look at those places and see what's in Attica, Covington, Clinton, Perrysville, Cayuga, all those kinds of things. So there's just
Pretty
lots
cool,
of things associated with the project. So
That'll inspire more people to use it. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's really powerful. I mean, we've used that app a lot of times, Garden of the Gods out in,
Okay.
I mean, it's like a self-guiding tour, but it literally, you just download the app and it tells you everything.
Yeah.
It absolutely wonderful app. We love that.
Good.
So
I
that's
just
a
downloaded
fantastic
it
idea.
because I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to know
It
about
is.
it.
It's a wonderful app.
When does it go live for our area?
And Wango should go live.
As soon as we finally enter in the rest of the gift cards for this rotation, then the Wango should go live. You can start entering in, just visiting locations, checking in. Then you'll visit one of the 3 check-in locations, get your gift card, and then go to your place. Travel stories, Warren, I don't know if it all has to release at once, but Warren County, I know I have to write 2 more, and then another intern has to write 2 more of the stories. And then I think they all roll out at the same time. And we're hoping to have all of the stories and them edited and proofed by the end of June, which is
I love
hopeful. I'd
that.
like to experience it before I
So
go back.
July,
July,
July, August, some
Yes.
of these things should be in place. Should be.
So are you gonna be buying extra kayaks, just in case these start disappearing? Paddles, things like that, because you can have all the kayaks you want, but if you don't have paddles, and I can see these paddles floating on down the river without the kayak.
Yeah, so,
The packet, I believe, also explains it, but in my notes it does. The Red Dot Fund should take care of it. So when you check something in, you take a photo of it, and I think if it's not there, you either pay for it as the customer, and then the driver comes up, the person we hire comes up, they put a new kayak paddle in there, or they put another personal flotation device.
yeah,
So
lost possessions are charged to your credit card when you check out.
I'm just saying, it's like, I can see paddles being lost pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And broken as
Yeah,
well.
exactly, yeah. We're gonna learn a lot.
Correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't the storage thing lock as well if things are missing?
yes, it'll lock until the Red Dot Fund person comes in and they replace the missing goods.
So somebody can't rent a
Oh,
kayak without a life jacket.
Right, so you
Right.
can't do anything unless everything is there and present for you. So there's not, so the safety is a key portion.
What's the projected cost for the rental? Like,
I think initially what we've heard is people are doing $20, $25, $30 for the first 2 hours. And we haven't, because this isn't going to be implemented until next year for us. So we'll be doing more research to see what additional hours will cost beyond that. We think most people are going to be comfortable with the first 2 hours, but it may take them 4 hours to get to the next.
Are there any
ramp.
camping locations or anything along the way that you're aware of or anything? I mean,
Not that we're aware of. I'm aware of some groups that are in the negotiating process with our state government on glamping sites that are close to the river.
I just wondered because those type people might want the kayaks for a day or something. Just
And
to
some
go.
of these glamping sites that I'm aware of are close to some of the Niches Land Trust properties. They're not in the Niches Land Trust properties, but they're close to Niches properties. So I think there's going to be some pop-ups, and we've had a couple of donors approach us and say, we would love for you to do a kayak ramp on my property, and we're going to donate the land to you to be able to do it. So just when we started announcing things, people were coming to us which is kind of exciting. So
Larry, is there a concrete pad anywhere down there that they could put this on? Just having a kind of informal on
Yeah,
that.
I looked at that when I went down there, and there was really nothing. The only concrete that's there is there at that little shelter when you come in. And if you go down any lower than that, you're kind of getting into an area that could flood pretty rapidly. I thought the best location to set it was probably there, just on the north side of that restroom.
Mm-hmm.
they
It's-
recommend no
it's
more than
relatively
3
high.
feet of water any time pass through their kiosk. So if you're down by the river, there's gonna be times when it's totally underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna damage the
See,
equipment.
we
and
raised
things like
that up when they built that restroom down there. They built a berm to put that restroom on top of it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thanks for your support. We'll come back.
Thank you.
We'll give you some updates.
Thank you for all the
Thank
information.
you very much.
Very
Thank you.
helpful.
Are there any other citizens petitions? Anybody else have anything that they need to address the council about?
That was strange.
Cindy?
Cindy?
Yes.
Actually, I did. I've got you a little bit later, but, okay.
Oh,
We are, part of Attica's Community Foundation is very, very, very excited about this. And Main Street's excited about it. We thought maybe we can even have a triathlon
Love.
in the years to come, where they could kayak and run and bike and.
Well, actually,
It'll
it'll be best that I leave as soon as I say this, and maybe some of you have heard some of this, but the last Saturday, I think in August, for the last 3 years, there's been a kayak race called the Wabash River Run that starts at Montezuma. They have 2 boat ramps, and it goes all the way to Clinton. It's 11-mile stretch. And so last year they had the most kayakers. I think it's somewhere between 85 and 100. It's going to be sanctioned this year by the, I think it's United States Kayaking Association, but it's a kayak race and families do it. Some are real competitive that come in and do it. But back to what Mike was kind of talking about is that the county's emergency management department participates, the fire department participates. They do some training during that course of the week. They help educate some of the people if maybe they haven't been on the river before and things like that. So that's why water safety is going to be a big part. So we see in the future some more of these, call it whatever we want to call it, Wabash River Run type races, taking place. So don't let me speak again, Joanne.
okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. White.
Committee reports. Attica Recreation, Inc. Have an update here from Denise Routson this evening.
Sorry about
Okay, I have some board members here tonight. Courtney is our vice president and president, and Eli is on our board as well. So I want to thank them for being here and helping out. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and fellow citizens. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. It is an honor to stand before you on behalf of Attica Recreation to show a vision that many of us in the community hold dear to our hearts. We're here to talk about the exciting journey we're embarking on, one centered around bringing people together, enhancing well-being, and building something truly meaningful for the future of Attica. As many of you know, the Attica Pool closed its doors in 2020. Since then, our community has been dedicated space, has been without dedicated space for families to gather, children to play, and neighbors to connect through recreation and relaxation. It's time to change that. At Attica Recreation Inc., our mission is to raise awareness and secure funding for the operation of our nonprofit organization and to bring vital recreational projects to life. We believe in the power of a community. We're excited to announce the variety of low-cost, inclusive events designed to foster connection. These include adult recreational leagues, dance classes, community bike rides, and more. These aren't just events, they're opportunities to bond, build support, and have some fun. But this is just the beginning. We have a bold vision for the future to build a brand new pool complete with a splash pad, full service concession area, and a water slide that will thrill children and adults alike. Additionally, we envision an adjacent building to host round-year health and wellness programs, fitness classes, and community events. Now you may be wondering, how are we going to make this happen? We've set a 10-year fundraising goal, aiming to break ground in 2035. While that may seem far off, we're passionate and committed to this cause, and we're already taking action. We're organizing numerous fundraisers over the coming years, but our success depends on the community involvement. The more support we garner locally, the more we can show potential grant providers that this project has deep roots and strong backing. We have filed our 501c3 nonprofit status and are currently awaiting state approval. The designation is critical as it allows us to access grants and operate more efficiently. At our core, Attica Recreation Inc. is dedicated to promoting mental and physical well-being of our community. Recreation is about more than fun. It's about health, growth, and belonging. We want to create a space where all of Attica can thrive. In your packet, you will find a brochure outlining our goals for the next 10 years. While it notes that our operational costs are at approximately $2,000 annually, the reality is closer to $4,500, largely due to liability insurance we must carry even during the fundraising phase. We have several exciting events planned for this year, including a cookie walk during the Dancing in the Streets. While this isn't a fundraiser, it will serve as a key awareness campaign for our cause. Our largest fundraising event will be the Dry Poker Run on August 23rd. We are currently accepting both cash donations and silent auction items to support this event. Some of the additional events on our schedule include the Attica High School Reunion Dinner, a booth at the Fountain County Fair, a possible euchre tournament, a gala-style event modeled after Lafayette's Jeans and Pearls, support of the new Attica Co-Ed Softball League launching this fall. We welcome community involvement and fresh fundraising ideas. If you'd like to support our mission, donations can be made in several ways. You can contact any board member directly, visit our donation link on Facebook, scan the QR code that's on the back of the brochures, or donate in person at any Fountain Trust Bank. Thank you for your time, your encouragement, and your commitment to making Attica a place where families can grow, neighbors connect, and community comes alive. One thing that we do ask, though, is we need to have some kind of commitment on how we're going to handle the property at the pool, whether we'll be doing a long-term lease or whether we'll be purchasing it from the city. We need to have something in writing for when we do our grant writing that we have proof of ownership or long-term rental.
I think we did this something like this before with something else.
We talked about it, and the last we left it, Judd was going to talk to his brother and find out how the best way to handle that was. So
Probably what.
back in your court.
20 or 50-year lease.
Yeah.
Or are you gonna come out of retirement with me?
I don't know. If you do, I will.
I don't think I will.
Oh, no.
Dwayne, no, he's not allowed to. He got hurt the last 2 times he was on league, so no. Do you
Thank
have
you,
any
Denise.
questions for me regarding the Attica Rec Inc. or what we are trying to do, what our benefits are? We are trying to raise $10 million for our project. One of the things that we have been looking at is not only redoing the whole, because the current concession stand / changing the bathrooms and the changing area. We're also looking at adding a building on the back side that will go between the pool, well, on the back side of the pool building, along with the back side of the pickleball courts. And we're wanting to put in 2 rooms back there, one for classes, different things that we can hold right now. The other one for a workout room, because we've heard a lot of people saying, we need somewhere we can work out, we need somewhere we can do. And we're wanting to do that so that we can raise money. There'll be a membership fee to that, to use that, once we get it built. And that will help to support the funding of the pool as well. So.
It's a great idea.
I do
Great,
too.
yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, really appreciate what you guys are doing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
have a really far off question.
Okay.
But once you get the pool up and working, when it was working, we operated the park program on Fridays for like 2 hours. Would that still be a thing that you guys would consider?
Absolutely. Well, that is top of our,
Thank you.
yes.
Good question.
Can I add on to that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, so we tried to find a CAD program online so I could draw out the kind of idea that we're thinking. So if you are looking at, imagine this is the building right now, right? The baby pool's down here. So our building that we're gonna build is gonna be at the top. So you have the little pickleball courts here and here. Our main priority is to first off, just get up and running so we can get money coming in. So we're thinking get that building built there so we can have restrooms and yeah. Anyways, thank you. Yeah. So we want to start rebuilding. Sorry, this is me dealing with sick kids for 2 weeks. We want to start rebuilding the main building first so we can start income with the concessions through the pickleball because everyone's going to be over there for pickleball and we can kind of feed off of that. So we're going to work on revitalizing that current building, but long term we're going to build that top. Our biggest part is concessions, restrooms at first. Eventually, I hate to say this, the baby pool is probably going to go and we're going to expand seating out there for concessions, and the smaller middle pool will also be mixed, and we're probably going to put a splash pad in that section. I don't know if you've ever been to Waynetown. They have their splash pad shut off to the community, gated off during the operating hours, but during non-operating hours, it's open for free to the community. So it kind of brings the best of both worlds. We have our pool, we have the splash pad. As someone that has a kid ranging 2 years old to 14, I was really adamant on, I don't want to just have a splash pad. You can take my 2-year-old anywhere in this city and entertain her for hours, but my 14-year-old, you can't. Like a pool is going to entertain her. So first steps are just getting our feet off the ground. We really just need support from everyone. It's been a rough go. We've had a few people turn us down, which has been very upsetting. But we really want to start off strong. We did really well. We raised, I think, over $400 selling tacos at our last thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're doing really well. 10 million sounds like a lot, but there are a lot of grants out there that could get us there very quickly. So it seems like a shot in the dark, but I promise it's not. We have these steps. We invite everyone. There's a meeting tomorrow night. I won't be there. I'm going to be at an Avril Lavigne concert with my daughter. But we invite everyone to come out to our meetings because we need city input. We know that the questionnaire got sent out a few years ago, but that's gone by the wayside at this point. Not a lot of people responded to it. We do have a Facebook page. We really just need this pushed out and the city involvement and just the knowledge that there is something being done. A lot of people are talking about it on Facebook, but not coming to meetings, so they truly don't know what's actually being done in this aspect. And we get a lot of, we have this here.
We could absolutely understand that.
Yeah, we have this amount here and this amount here, just so everyone knows. People on our board have put our own money into our bank account because we strongly believe in this. So it's not like we're just sitting up here joking and laughing, like we're putting our work in. We've met just not the board members, but thank you. Officers have met on separate times to have conversations as well. It would really just be awesome if we could get town-wide support, because the more support, the better, and the easier we will get the grants. And we're going to reach out to the businesses around here. If you guys can think of anyone that would be willing to donate a basket for our side-by-side ride, because we're going to use those. Anything that you guys can think of, if any of you guys have a business or anything that would be willing to donate, that would be awesome. So if you have any input, feel free to reach out to any of us. We really want town input because all we have are a few people on our board. We're small, but we're mighty. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you so much.
And pickleball courts look excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. Yeah. We're hoping to piggyback off of that.
Yeah. And one last thing too is that the original plan, the master plan the city did back in 2020, the last plan on it showed the pool with a big slide coming off down that hill. We plan on doing that slide, but I'm really hoping and praying to make that a year-round slide be water during the summer months, and then in the winter, if it gets cold enough, you can use bags to go down.
Toboggan.
Yeah,
That's a cool idea.
in the winter.
Yeah.
So that's another idea that we have to keep the funds coming in.
That'd be neat.
So.
Not a kayak paddler.
Well, the kayaks are up in the pool.
Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Hiller, do you have anything for the junior council?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Department heads, Mr. Swank is on vacation today, so he's out. Doesn't look like Chief Miller is here. Chief Little, you're up.
A couple things. In those packets that Mr. White actually handed out, you'll see that the Attica Fire Department set up an endowment fund, a permanent endowment fund. We had to set it up for the Okra grant, and we decided just to continue that. So that'll help with the future of the fire department. So excited about that. The other thing is, I'm sure you guys have seen the construction has started. They'll be pouring the footers tomorrow, Wednesday. Once the footers are poured, you're going to see pretty quick construction going up. So pretty excited about that. So I apologize that the alleyway's closed. I know the ladies in the clerk's office are mad at me.
Only one.
So but it'll be well worth it at the end, I promise.
That it?
That's it.
Mrs. Broadwater.
Okay. The Community Crossing Grant 2023-2 closeout documents have been sent to NDOT. Remaining streetscape costs will be paid out of city funds. We've also received our invoice to repay about, I think it's about $4,000 in unused community crossing funds. The 2024 water report is complete. It's going to be uploaded to IDEM, posted on the city website, and taken to different locations within the city by the June 30th deadline. We also have been notified that we will be beginning a 2024 federal audit. The reason that we have another federal audit, the round of audits last year, 2023 was a federal audit. We were audited for 21, 22, and 23. 23 was federal, and it's because of the SRF loan that we've received for our water project, because it's federal funds. Anytime you have over $750 of federal funds, then you're subject to a federal audit. So we will begin another audit. Yay.
Great. This is like the 10th year in a row.
Oh, well, we will have been audited for 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24.
I really wasn't kidding.
I'm excited.
Well, you can get your audit fixed here.
Yes, I can. I'm very, very excited. Very excited. Documents for the annual food and beverage audit have been submitted to State Board of Accounts. Loan funds for the water project have been exhausted. The remaining costs are city portions. And I think that's all I have at this point, unless there's any questions.
John, I had a couple,
Okay.
and it might be pretty simple here. And I didn't. I'll
What are
be
you
honest with
referring to, so I know if I need to
Oh,
pull anything
just
out?
the expense report that you, or
Okay.
not, or yeah, I think this was the expense report, yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't give it a lot of time, honestly, because I just got on it today. But when I was looking through this, I noticed, and you might have told us about this before, but under the rainy day, that's number 1103-945.20, it says the year-to-date expenses is negative $38,745.75. And I was just kind of curious as why that was negative there.
I'm not even seeing that on my report, but some of the rainy day funds have been used to fund streetscape. And if it's in the negative, that means it wasn't appropriated. It doesn't mean that the funds are not there. It means if you look at this first column here where it shows budget,
Okay.
you will see some line items where there are zeros.
Yeah, it has
For-
zero. Yeah.
That's because it wasn't budgeted. And the reason it wasn't budgeted is because the streetscape project has spanned multiple budget years. And if it was originally anticipated to have been budgeted and spent in 2024, it wouldn't have been budgeted in 2025. There were delays, but in the overall financial plan, there's about 10 different funds that the streetscape project, the city portion of it, was being paid out of. And just because of the delays in some of the aspects of it. Like I said, it was probably budgeted for 2024, didn't get spent because there were delays, so now it's coming out in 2025.
Oh, I see.
But anything with there's a negative, especially if it shows under budget 0, that means funds have been spent, but it wasn't originally budgeted.
I see.
So
Okay.
we will need to do an additional appropriation at the end of the year to
Okay.
bring that.
Yeah, because I didn't understand that because that was a negative under year-to-date expenses.
Yeah.
And but yet it was a positive when it said uncommitted. So I was just trying to understand the negative
Yeah.
versus the positive there because I didn't really understand that. Okay, and then the other question I had is under, let's see, Fund 2216, the
Public.
economic development. So is this the WEGA money, basically?
It's not WEGA money. There is no WEGA money in here.
Okay.
We are paying WEGA partially out of 2216, but also out of food and beverage.
Okay.
That's what the contract states. The economic development, John, is local income taxes that's going away in 2 years. So that's what's funding 2216. It's also funding 2240 and 1101.
Okay.
And all of that under SB1 is going away in 2028. But those funds have been earmarked to pay WEGA expenses along with food and beverage. Our food and beverage fund was established for economic development purposes. So the contract is being fulfilled between those two different funds.
So,
Also out of economic development, we have committed in the past to pay for funds towards the Main Street director. We also use economic development funds for expenses associated with the business growth at the east end of town. I mean, it's not used for just WEGA, it's used for economic development.
well, that's the reason I'm asking
Yeah.
because it's just, they're just line items and, they're
Right,
not, they
right,
don't provide anything. So,
right.
okay. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
How is the water project going with the underwater tank or
The new storage tank.
It looks good.
It's completed. They're waiting for the epoxy on the inside to set up and they can fill it. So probably within the next 2 weeks, we'll be utilizing it. They've
Looks
got a
good.
little, yeah, they've got a little bit of work to do on it. They've got a couple of valves that we had to replace due to the project. And then I read, interestingly enough, since we raised the height of that tank slightly, it's going to raise our water pressure about 4 psi. So some people will be happy about that.
So will I have one other answer. Will they be putting the dirt back?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so it actually is going to be an underwater tank.
No, it's not going to be underground. It'll be above ground, but they'll put dirt around
does.
where they excavated.
I guess my question is, am I going to be able to go sledding on my hill that
Maybe,
I did
maybe not.
for 25 years?
I don't know that.
You're probably gonna have to go down to the pool.
May not be very smooth.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Kayak to our slide.
I like to hear the membership.
Just go right on down. No,
I
I know. Listen,
Please.
it's just that it was a concern of mine when they said they were replacing it, only because think about it. There's a ton of kids that use
The
that
new
for
tank
sledding.
is an above ground.
Now, if you get on top of the new tank, it's gonna be quite right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sad. Okay, I
You
know.
probably will.
Mike's shaking his head at me. Listen, I just want to go down sledding.
No, I'm shaking my head at his comment about climbing on top.
Yeah.
We got a lot to cover here,
Larry,
guys.
how many gallons was that?
500,000 gallons. Yeah. And that's what the old one was.
Yeah.
And the water tower itself is 500,000 as well. So that gives us 1 million gallons in total.
And it's been good. The water tower was done well, with the other one being offline.
Well, yes and no. We've had to run a pump
Oh,
24/7 to keep up,
well, that's
So-
not great.
to keep the pressure up.
I had
Larry, if we have a big fire outside of town, can we come in town to fill now, or is that still?
That is still off until it's
Because
done.
that was a big thing out in Newtown. They weren't too happy about not being able to come down and get water.
Uh,
No.
So I didn't know if that's still a no-go. or-
Yeah.
it is until we put that new tank in service, and it's not in service yet.
Okay.
But in the next week or two, it should be filled and ready to go.
Great.
And I'm sure that Eric will let you guys know when that happens.
All right.
We'll go ahead and move on if it's okay. Rental housing inspections, part-time position. Eric did get one applicant for that. I haven't heard any more applicants, so we're still struggling a little bit there. I did post that out on the AIM website last month, but I don't know that that's helped any. Still working on the annexation of Harrison Hills and properties south. Did have a conversation with one of the property owners out there, and he seems to be closer to getting on board, so that's good. Ambulance relocation, that's kind of still up in the air until I hear from the school. I did have a gentleman call me the other day and complain because he thought the ambulance was going to come blasting out onto Washington Street with the sirens blaring, and it wouldn't be good for the neighborhood. And he was suggesting that we put it somewhere else. And I said, well, where? He said, well, anywhere but there. So,
I hear the siren saying
and honestly, I didn't do that without thinking through it a little bit. And they're not going to come blasting out onto Washington Street with their sirens on. They'll wait till they get over on the highway and turn on their sirens, and it should be no different than coming from where they're at now,
Right.
coming up the highway with their sirens on. And this person suggested that we purchase property somewhere else and put it, and I'm like, with what? The reason I'm asking for school property is because it's already publicly owned. The city doesn't own it, but the school system does. The public owns it. And it's very central to the center of the city.
Yeah, it's a good location.
I think you could get anywhere in the city in a very short period of time from there, and I think it's an ideal location. I'm sticking with my original statement. So
We're all right behind you.
thank you.
Might be trouble west of the road.
Thank you. Citywide cleanup is coming up this coming weekend, June 13th and 14th. We do have an electronics dumpster coming in as well as the scrap metal. I don't know that we'll have the electronics again this year. This will be twice that we've offered that. We do have to pay extra for that. So that's kind of outside our trash contract, if you will, because that's through a third party. But if you've got any old TVs or anything, computers you want to get rid of, this weekend is the time to do it. Football team is doing some pickups. They'll be picking up their sheets this week from me. I think I've got maybe 6 right now. So if you have anything for them, you need to get that in the next day or so to the clerk's office. They'll be doing that for a donation, and we sure appreciate them stepping up to help. Moving on. Brush and limb pickup is now the first Monday of the month instead of weekly, and that's going to allow time for summer park maintenance. We've been asked to pick up trash out the baseball diamond for the summer while the summer leagues are out there playing. And, honestly, I talked to Eric about this, and I know some of you probably know this, but it was taking them 3 guys 2 to 3 days a week to go around and pick up all the brush in town. This month when they did it, there was obviously a lot more because it had backed up a little bit. It took 2 or 3 guys 2 or 3 days. So it is freeing up some time for our guys to do other things. The other thing that's on the agenda here is the battery electrical storage ordinance, and that was passed down from the zoning advisory board. And I don't know whether you want to bring that from the table this evening and look at that again, or
So I've gone over it several times, and it looks to be pretty much in order.
so is that a motion to bring it from the table?
There will be a motion to bring it to the table.
I'll second.
A motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
So, battery ordinance. Like to discuss?
I'm happy to answer questions. Other thing I would point out is, with a lot of these, especially large scale utility ordinances, where we don't have them in town yet, but it is, on the table, especially with the solar farm coming. If we try this, or if there is something in there that is not going to work for them, they can always ask for a variance. and then we would have the ability to say, red light, green light, based on what they're requesting too. So it's not saying, if we pass this is deadlocked what they're into. They can always ask to vary it, and then depending on what the zoning boards and your guys' judgment of whether or not to grant that, they have that flexibility as well. And that is part of the application process. If there is something they need to vary, they present that at the same time they run their application through.
If something comes up, you can always amend it.
Yep.
My understanding was that we were going to continue to review this, and that Judd actually supplied the solar ordinance to all the city council members to review, and that if there were any changes that we were going to compare the two. So I'm really surprised we just passed it, knowing that we just got the ordinance.
We didn't pass
I didn't
We
pass
didn't
it.
pass anything.
Nothing
We
was
just brought it to
passed.
talk about.
We just
Oh,
brought it from the
okay,
table
okay.
to discuss.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I apologize. I didn't think we were anywhere close. So,
So do we feel like if there's further discussion needed, or what do you guys want to do? Do you want to table this again for further discussion?
If there are requests, so the process is you guys can either pass it tonight. The APC did provide a favorable recommendation to pass it as is. If there are requested changes, we would send that back down to the APC for hearing, and then they can either modify it and recommend it again, or decide not to include that recommendation and then send it back to you guys, which would start another 30-day clock. The 30-day clock does run out this week. So if we don't want to pass it tonight, the Plan Commission will take it up again at their July meeting.
I'm honestly, I've read through it and I don't see anything to be added to it unless somebody else does, but
The only thing I had
everything seems to be in order to me.
The only thing I had made note of was on page 7, and I don't remember who said it, but I just had put a question out on the setbacks on C. It said it was 200 feet from the nearest edge, and for some reason we had brought up 500 feet, and I said, do we want to change this, is what I had put out to the side. Maybe that was just me thinking that. Maybe
Now, you're just saying this was at your meeting?
No, I don't think I made no. This is from our last city council meeting where I thought somebody had written that, or maybe I just did. I don't remember
Zoning
exactly.
advisory board.
We gave it yes.
You gave it a favorable.
Yes, I just meant myself had wrote this down
Okay.
and was bringing it up. I didn't remember if we had talked about. I forgot. I apologize. I didn't remember if we had brought that up or not. It says 500 feet from the nearest edge of any component of the best to the nearest point of the outside wall of the structure. That was for occupied community buildings and dwellings. But then on C it says non-participating properties must be set back 200 feet. I had questioned. I don't remember why we brought. Did anybody else remember that? Do you remember? So maybe not, and maybe that was just me. Maybe that was a question I had.
One of the changes that gets setbacks are normally the touchiest subject when it comes to these things, and so the other modification that I've seen, this is the third one that I'm on, is B has been modified to say 500 feet from the nearest point on the best or structure to the property line to match 200 feet from the point on the best structure to the property line in C.
Got it.
So right now, 500 feet is basically wall to wall, and C is wall to property line. And I mean, each jurisdiction kind of has their preference for which one they prefer.
Okay.
But a non-participating property without a dwelling on it would be like a farm tract.
Got it.
So one of the questions I had was the 1 megawatt versus a lower number. And I think that when we were talking a little bit about that with Judd, he suggested that we go ahead and review the solar ordinance, and that we should try, whatever we try to do should follow in line with the solar ordinance. And so he sent it over to us to review that. So I thought, is it where we're just going to pass it at 1 megawatt then? Is that what the plan is?
I thought he made a comment about the megawatt. He said we didn't want to do anything with the wattage because I forgot what he said. I remember going back and watching the video, and but I'm not recalling. Does anybody else remember? He said something because I remember you had asked about it.
Well, I also asked about charging, because when they actually, store the energy and then push it to the grid.
And then it says it can. I wrote down a fee cannot be charged
unless you're actually your own utility.
Yes.
Part of the IURC.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember you asking about that, Johnny. but I don't remember.
I mean,
He
this
sent
thing's
us an
not,
email.
this is not a fast track ordinance, is it? I mean, is this something that we could, mull around a little bit longer here? I mean,
What's your reservations?
well, I think that it should be broken into two parts, and anything 1 megawatt and above, and then have some kind of ordinance for everything below that, or maybe some other number. It would maybe make sense to do that. I haven't had enough had enough time to actually go research it, and look and see what other people are doing. But
What's your concern, I guess, with the difference in the water?
well, there's all kinds of different solar things that are going on out there, lots of them. And this one is this is kind of like a trailer. It's just a trailer box. You set it down and that's what it is. It generates 1 megawatt. But they're not all the same, And so that's my concern, is if we're spending the time to go ahead and write an ordinance, then why don't we put a little bit more thought into it and maybe, go ahead and catch everything else.
This is battery storage. This
Yeah,
isn't
battery
generator.
storage. No, it's not generator. Yeah, it's battery
Yeah.
storage. I understand.
But this is everything up to megawatt.
No,
1 megawatt and above.
yeah, 1 megawatt and above. It doesn't address anything below.
Anything below.
So I don't know. I mean,
Would they? I guess my question is there something that would have 1 megawatt or below? That seems like a very
It's really,
Charging station,
Mr.
maybe?
Kemple?
it's not very much.
yeah. That's yeah.
Speaking behalf of Dolphin Solar, the project that's gonna be coming in does not have battery storage.
Yes, I remember you saying.
So that project does not. So I think it is a good idea that you do have a battery storage ordinance in. Because there's a lot of companies that's looking at that locally.
I just don't, I think we're premature passing the ordinance. And there's nothing saying, hey, you gotta do it, because we don't have the business proposition or the activity. And while we have all the documents and everything, I think that,
So once they apply, we can't regulate it. If they apply for a building permit, if somebody applied for a building permit tomorrow, we've got no regulations on battery storage.
I know I said this during the zoning meeting. Right now, there is 7 to 8 different renewable energy companies looking at Fountain County. In Warren County, there's at least 4. Now that could be from solar to wind to energy storage. And when you look at energy storage, it's the smaller projects, the 200-300 megawatts. The ones coming up here is gonna be close to 800, which is gonna be direct on the grid. But, I mean. Yeah.
So I think he's bringing up a point that, 1 megawatt's a bunch. But, some of these other ones, just to get started, they could be under that. And so I think that, I personally think that this is not a burning
I
ordinance.
don't know that you're gonna have anything under a megawatt. He just said that this one out here is gonna be 800 megawatts.
It's just like the one down there.
Yeah, but it doesn't have storage.
It's not enough for
Can I say something regarding this? I talked to my son-in-law who installs these battery fields for the solar power and for wind. He said you will never have a battery section under 1 megawatt because there's so much power in a solar field that they have to put, if you're backing up to a battery, it will never be less than that.
It's not the solar fields that I'm talking about. I'm talking about, something less than that. Okay, people can go in and put solar panels up, and how many can they put up? Okay, and they're gonna need batteries for that. And it's gonna be less than 1 megawatt.
I mean, for like a home or
Or
something?
home or whatever, factory, whatever it is.
Well, that wouldn't fall
That wouldn't
underneath,
fall under the same.
that does not fall underneath the same
Residential
standards
wouldn't, yeah.
that industrial size does at the 1 megawatt.
Yeah, but this catches everything here. This is catching any BES. So that's why I'm saying, does it make sense to, go ahead and
Industrial solar. right?
Yep, this is
Yeah,
for commercial
this
grade.
This is for commercial.
Yeah.
This isn't for your home use or something like that. What worries me is what Ingrid just
That's
said.
what I'm thinking
In
too.
that if somebody comes tomorrow and applies, we're screwed.
Yeah, we need to have something on the books. I think
And
we
you can
amend
always
it.
go back
Well,
and.
you can always
Yeah,
deny the
for-
permit, right?
You can always go back and give a,
Because you don't have an ordinance in place.
And without an ordinance, you can't deny it.
you can always go back and back that up and give somebody an out, but if you don't have the ordinance in place to begin with, you don't have a leg to stand on. And that part of it worries me. And I get what you're saying, that right now there's no hurry, but if somebody should come tomorrow and file an application, they get a free pass.
And this is being live streamed. They may be taking note of that.
So, I mean, so what a lot of other jurisdictions that have zoning do is they pass something just to cover bases, and then if we need to go back and do further study on megawattage or setbacks or whatever, we can go back and amend the zone code later. That's not uncommon. People do that all the time. But if you guys would like to table it, that's fine too. 1 megawatt is standard across the board. I could pull down my examples if you wanted to and just show you what other towns have done if you're curious, but 1 to 5 megawatts is about where the baseline is.
This is similar to what Warren County did too, right? Because they actually were the first ones to do it.
Yeah, I know, I'm ready to move it forward, honestly. I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and pass it.
I'll second.
Have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who seconded?
Dwayne,
Dwayne.
we had one nay.
Nay. All right.
You have it.
Get better at printing things out in the future.
That's 2025, 0609.
So just out of curiosity, are you wanting to see more like examples about megawattage? Like if you were going to amend this in the future, what's the concern?
I think that we have a boilerplate document that's been given to us, and we're, being told to accept it. And I just feel like we might need to do a little bit more research into it, and to see, because it doesn't seem to me like this ordinance is really a burning thing. And, why not just sit on it for a little bit and keep talking about it, and come up with a better ordinance? That was my opinion. But I mean, if the sky's falling, then, we need to put something in place, so.
Maybe an example from somebody else would be nice to look at too. I
Yeah.
think That, just to have, but I think
I
we
mean,
need something
We
now.
need something now, but we can always amend it.
Well, that's right.
And at least we have an ordinance.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
we need to have
I
something.
think that she
We
had stated,
protected ourselves.
I think that she stated, tell me if I'm wrong, that Warren County was the first one to pass this in the state of Indiana. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Did I dream this?
Close. Nope, you're very close with that. First, if not second. Nobody's got theirs out published yet that I've seen.
Yeah.
I think one city might have done theirs right after Warren County did, but it's a bespoke ordinance. I mean, it matches I pulled it down, I drafted it. It's not a boilerplate. And it matches your solar ordinance one for commercial solar.
Yeah, that's what Judd sent the solar over, and I thought we would probably, just have some general discussion referring back to the solar ordinance, and then, talk about the BES and have a little bit more discussion.
And I think we still can. That's it's not a done deal 100%. We can go back and discuss this later and make changes to it at any time. But at least we've got something to protect ourselves from that person that comes and files tomorrow. Not that they will.
But the whole state of Indiana sounds like they're in that state, in that situation, so, but, okay.
Okay, moving on. Harrison Steel tax abatement, CF1 review. I put a copy of it in everybody's folder. We gave Harrison Steel a tax abatement back in 23. And they are to file the CF1 every year, showing where they're at on current employees, values, and so on. I looked this over. It looks reasonable to me. Yeah, it's a 10-year deal. But with that being said, as you all know, the House bill or Senate Bill SB1 is kind of getting into this mix a little bit. And I don't know exactly how that's going to affect us, but basically they're gonna be doing away with personal property taxes. So this may be a moot point moving forward, because in 27,
Well, 2028 is
28.
Goes in the fall.
So, don't know yet, but I guess we need to proceed today as if we're still on track, even though SB1 may derail our taxes.
So when I was going through reading this, I noticed that it said see attached. So what they're doing is they're actually describing the equipment that they're actually working with, and there's an attachment, but the attachment didn't come with this CF1 here.
Yeah, originally they put, that's partially my fault. Originally, they sent an attachment with all this section 4 information on it, and section 4 was blank. And I said, I'm not going to take a document with a blank section to the city council and ask them to review it. You need to make sure all the information is on this document and not some attachment.
Okay.
So they moved everything over on to the proper places, sections on the actual document. And I reviewed that, and what's on here was what was originally on the attachment that they sent with the blank one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I'm talking about actually what are they buying? What are they buying with this?
Oh, they
this
already
money?
did. It's already been in.
Yeah.
It's already
They
been
gave a
in.
presentation about 4 years ago, and what was the equipment for? I can't remember, but it
They're
was.
automating some of the processes,
Yeah.
and it was like a year and a half
Automated,
ago.
molding system.
Yeah, the new electric stuff.
I forgot. I
It was a
could.
pretty big upgrade for them.
The main thing I was looking at was the number of employees and the salaries that they agreed on. They're actually up 4 employees from what they had estimated back during that time. They're up several $1,000s in salaries. Everything else stayed the same, it looks like. They did hire 4 additional employees.
And I will say that I started in 2020, and the CF1 forms were not even provided for the first 4 years I was here for the council. The council did not even review them. They were not provided until I specifically started asking for them. And that was under the old abatement,
And that wasn't just
ended-
Harrison Steel, that was everybody.
Right.
Because we had
None of them-
abatement for
None of them,
C&D batteries
right,
too.
none of them were provided and reviewed. And this is a new abatement that literally, this is the first review on it. It just went into effect. It just went into effect, it's brand new.
Yeah.
What, 20,
Plus 24.
right,
23 was for the 24 year, and
Right.
then this is for
Says first year.
24.
But they applied for it in 2020?
in
No,
23.
no,
Oh,
is
in
this one.
23.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is a fairly new one.
This is brand new.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so there was some cleanup to do where some of their older ones had expired, and it was kind of a mess, I think, between like the county and the city and who was getting what. But I think we're back on track now. So this is their new one after we got all of that cleaned up in 2023, starting in 2024, pay 2025. There we go.
So
Sure.
Pretty sure.
So Joanne, you're the wizard with accounting here. What does this abatement mean dollar-wise?
There was a tax abatement schedule, I don't have it in front of me, that went
There's
along
nothing
with
on here,
the,
I don't think. Is it?
no, and it would have been with the original abatement request.
Yeah.
The redevelopment commission and the council both worked with Baker Tilly to come up with an abatement schedule. And I think it was like 80, 90, 80, 70, 60. I mean, it was pretty standard, but there were multiple different abatement schedules that were presented.
And we looked over that extensively.
Yes.
Some of us fought a little bit about it because of what we wanted, and it was definitely not a.
It wasn't
a one meeting thing. I think
Right.
it took us maybe 4
right.
times.
The
to
RDC
meet.
reviewed it multiple times and then made a recommendation. to
And
the
then they're
council.
not required to produce that every time that they file the CF1. This is just hey, looks like we're doing what we said we were
But
gonna do.
Harrison still pays personal
we have
property
to,
tax.
we have to vote on this, so I'm just
You're
trying to get
just,
some
you're just,
basic.
you're,
basic
yeah,
info.
you're just voting on whether or not they've done what they said they were going to do. But like I said, I don't know the specifics of the abatement schedule without pulling up the original request, but it was pretty standard. And it might have even began at 80%.
I don't remember. It was, yeah,
Very standard. Because one of the recommendations was,
someone was insane. It was crazy.
yeah, higher 1 year, almost nothing the next year, and then back up.
It was
And
like a roller coaster.
yeah.
75, 25, and then it went back up to 65.
Some people
Yeah.
didn't like that.
No, I didn't like it.
So, I mean, can you just tell us what because I'm gonna be here for 4 years, so we're gonna do this again
Okay.
next year.
So
So
what, I
can
guess I don't know what you're asking.
What is the schedule then, the abatement schedule? Because when we get next year is,
I don't know without looking at it. I don't have the original abatement request.
I can look and see if I have it in my email.
I can look and see if it's on the website, so I can look and see.
I did also look up for you. They installed a V140 Mazak machining center. That-
five axis machining center.
Yep, and that was, they installed it over 8 weeks. And then they also installed a V145 axis machine. So they had all that installed. That was kind of,
Yeah, but that's not $60 million.
No, that's in the new machine.
no, it was 2 different things, but I don't remember what the other one was.
Yeah, that's a few million,
I don't remember exactly what the other one was, but I was trying to find.
I'm sure it's probably what they're doing, a furnace setup that they went to.
It was an Andromat, a Mazak, and a blast machine.
That was
Three
a
different
blast machine.
machines.
Thank you.
And it's all up and running.
Some of it was up and running prior to the request
Yeah,
for
that
the
was another
abatement.
problem.
If you look under section 4, which was what was on that attachment, it gives the original cost, what they projected, and what the assessed current value is of each of those things. And then they talked about how that would affect the employees and salaries, and they've got that on here. And that's really all that's required on this document.
I can get a copy of the confirmatory if we can circle back to this.
You can what?
I can get a copy of the confirmatory resolution if we can circle back to this one.
Okay.
Like right now? Okay. Okay.
We're coming back to it. She's
We'll come
getting-
back to this.
Okay.
She's getting.
I've got Cindy Mason on the agenda here under new business to talk about a designated outdoor refreshment area for dancing in the streets.
Dora.
What is it called again?
Dora.
Dora. And.
Designated outdoor refreshment area.
Love it. Dora.
Well, you guys voted, well, we talked about this last year. And
Yes.
Ingrid's come up with an ordinance. And then since then, in the past, we've had a brewery, we've had a winery come. So they would have a different type of license, okay? The brewery can come, but the winery can't come, so we decided to go with Budrose, and that's a totally different type of license for this particular event. So I was hoping that Dora would cover this. We don't have enough time to do that, so Nate's gonna have to get his special license for this event. But in the future, if we can get Dora established, and I think the last time Lexi was here and talked about such a huge area that was almost impossible to enforce that.
I remember we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I thought we passed.
I thought we did
it.
too.
Well, I thought so too, but I don't think that's the case. But anyway, we decided, I talked to the people in Lafayette because they said, oh, well, you can designate just 2 blocks. That's what Lafayette did last year. They had like the 900 block and the 1000 block of Main Street. And then this year, they wanted to pilot that to see if there was any issues. Then this year, they went ahead and extended it down Main Street. So I called and talked to them, and they sent me their ordinance. And she said, yes, we had it from like on Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, like 4 to 11 o'clock or whatever. So I didn't know it could be that specific. And then in Sunday's paper, in Lafayette paper, they said that West Lafayette is doing it for their market, when they have their market.
The farmer's market?
Farmer's market. And I thought, holy smokes, well, we could do that and chip in, you know, for maybe different events that we can host downtown on Perry Street. So my idea, and I talked with Ingrid, and we're gonna get together to come up with maybe a more specific, limited area for Dora. And it would be from Budrose up Main Street, down Perry to Jackson. So that could be a real enforceable area. And the whole thing is you have to have a Dora cup, which the store owner, the bar, or whatever restaurant would have, and it would say, we are a Dora participant. They can take that glass of beer and they can walk out on that street. They can walk up Main Street and they can walk down Perry, part of dancing in the street. And therefore that we wouldn't have to be getting all these different licenses for the people to set up to do that. But when I was talking to the gal with the market today, she was saying, yes, we want to have it at the market. And that was the whole purpose. It's just Cumberland Park over there. That's what they're doing theirs for. So I just want to let you know that we're in the process of doing that. And I think it's a lot more enforceable if we come up with a smaller area for us to manage and set time limits so we don't have people walking around at 10 o'clock in the morning, you know, with a beer or something. And it can only be from the business that is providing, that's a Dora member.
During those specific hours.
Yes, during those specific hours, yes. So I'm excited about it. I think this is something I think we can grow, like maybe Friday night events downtown and have maybe some music and have
I like that.
events. Maybe we can have it at the farmer's market.
So it's probably too late to do for dancing in the street.
It's too late for this, yes. So
Darn it.
we'll make that happen. They also said, well, there's another license that you can get as a catering license as long as it's adjacent to the business, to Bedros. Well, we are adjacent. Our phone park runs right into that. So it's not gonna be a problem. We're still gonna have, what I wanted to do is like Taze River, I think is gonna provide the beer. We're gonna have wine slushies. And then I thought it'd be cute if they've got a special drink called Wonder Woman. And if somebody dressed up as Wonder Woman at the vendor. I just thought that would be a.
Lexi.
It's a pink drink. It's fun. So anyway, this is
Going at
something-
10 o'clock kind of an interview.
I think this is
You
something
have
in the
beer for
future that we
breakfast and
can
you can
make
have
go
staggering
on.
in the streets later.
What'd you say?
I said this 10 o'clock drinking thing in the morning sounds pretty good. You can have beer for breakfast and you can have staggering in the streets later.
They can have wine tasting, and they do that at Cumberland Park at their market. So I'm just thinking in the future, we could plan different type of events downtown, whether it's once a month or whatever, that we could incorporate Dora.
Dora the Explorer?
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted you to, I was hoping that we could be able to do it for, you okay?
I do this at least once a meeting where I just can't, I get him out of control for just.
So, just so you guys are aware, so where we kind of stalled out is we've got the ordinance done.
Okay.
The next step is we need a survey of the area. I don't know why. And then we also have to submit the design for the signs to the state as part of our application. So we're missing those two pieces. So the signs have to be designed to go with the packet.
For Dora?
Mhm.
Yes.
Wow.
Wow, this is way more in-depth than I thought it was
in-depth.
gonna be.
But
Wow.
Karen and I mean, I'm willing to help and do some legwork and whatever, so we can get it up and running.
She's willing to do a drawing of Dora.
That's it. And I'm not a graphic designer, so I'm open to all sorts of ideas.
Survey though, that's huge.
But I have both
So-
ordinances from Lafayette and West Lafayette, how they did it for the park and how they did the limited And then they amended it this year, how they did it to.
When you do it this down here for this, because this is so much more in depth than I was originally just thinking, are you including then the entire downtown, like I say the entire, just
Just what I told you,
okay, just that area?
just what I told you. From Jackson Street.
Okay.
On Perry Street.
Mhm.
Down to Main Street, where the old bank used to be.
Yes.
Down to Bedrose.
Okay.
Just that short distance. And then we'll see how that goes. And when I was talking to Lafayette, they said they had absolutely no problem from other store owners. People came in, they weren't sloshing their drinks. There was no problems, not one complaint the first year. So I thought that was encouraging. But so tonight I came knowing that I can't do it for dancing in the street, but it's something that I want to work on.
I love it. It's great.
Can you have multiple designated door areas?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like Ravine Park for the Twilight Music?
You
or
have to designate it.
So would it be different applications for the different areas?
Your sign would be
I'm
different.
working on
Could you create a mobile Dora?
it. I don't think so.
You can take her backpack.
It's a good thought, though.
No,
Yeah.
not
Nobody is
your
getting my
map that
jokes
you have
except
to
people that
submit
have
your
children.
map.
Wherever
But
I'm
you
walking
can
with a
set-
beer, that's a door.
You have to cut.
You know,
Tim
so
missed
when
it. I
the
would make him
food
laugh.
trucks come in, because I know Gordo's, which is Agave Azul, wanted to sell margaritas. So if we had Dora out and we said we wanted to do Twilight Music, okay, you provide the food truck, then we will.
Well, I was thinking if you did that area, if you somehow included eventually McDonald Park, a part of Ravine Park, and I can see it happening eventually. I know that some people are not here, but the Potawatomi Festival area,
The riverfront.
the river, like down on the river, like where they, where they're going to set up the booths and things. I know.
Could we just define all those
That's all-
places?
Oh gosh, Heritage Days. Thanks.
I'm working on it.
Potawatomi
Okay.
Festival.
Good
I'm
grief,
old.
John.
Well, it's a great idea, so why don't we
I
just
sound
put one
old.
thing in place and make it
Well,
all that way?
we'll see. We'll have to work with the state because they're the ones that have to approve the areas, your map. They're the ones, and we can go for everything, but I want to be able to enforce it. Because if you have something that you can't enforce, you can end up with a big mess on your hands,
Right.
True.
and I don't want that, especially if there are events when there's kids there.
Yeah.
So I want to be very conscious of that. So tonight's just a heads up, we're working on it, and we've thought of those things. I hear what you're saying.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
I'm working on it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move on then. Moving on, our current salary ordinance states that the mayor can give an employee a 25-cent raise with council approval for a special exception. I have asked Tom Lloyd to be our floodplain administrator, and he agreed. He's already taken the training to do so. That gets us eligible for some FEMA funds if we get a flood or if some other things happen. It was required. So I'm asking the council to go ahead and approve that 25-cent hourly increase for Mr. Lloyd.
I make a motion, we approve the 25-cent hourly increase for Mr. Floyd.
I second the motion.
Have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Just a informational, Joink, Joink Fiber has reached out. They're interested in building in Attica. I actually had another company come into my office today, and I've got the card in there. It was somebody I'd never heard of. They are looking at building out in Attica as well. They'd like to cover every house in Attica. And
So we still might get fiber.
we may get fiber. There's starting to be competition.
Good.
So we've got two other companies besides the one we have currently that's not covering the whole city. So I think maybe we'll get fiber
Good.
to every citizen here one of these days.
Great.
So that was just an informational. I'll pass on more information as I get it, but I was excited to hear
Isn't
that.
Joink who's in Warren County?
Yes, they are.
That's what I
Yes,
thought.
yes. They just want to come on across the river and keep going.
Great.
So I thought that was good. The only thing they were asking for is they wanted to know if there was a place where they could put a small pedestal with a generator in it, so they could power during power outages and keep the system running. And they promised me a map of where they're wanting to run the fiber at, and I told them we'd look at it and see if we
Make
had
sure they
a
look up around Foster Drive.
spot. Yeah. They ain't let you put it in his backyard if you'll give him fiber.
The other company won't come up there.
Yeah. The other thing, I just added, it's a late addition here. Talked to some of you about the updating the salary ordinance to include lifeguards for the park program. We're looking at, the park board is looking at having the kids out at the pool at the high school on Fridays for a couple of hours. They've located some lifeguards, but our current salary ordinance does not have a line item in there for lifeguards anymore since we don't have a pool. I did contact Mr. Crane down at Covington yesterday and ask him what they were paying lifeguards, because the last time we paid them, it was $8.50 an hour.
A couple of years.
They're paying between $10.50 and $11. I think the park board was recommending $12.50
Yes.
to pay. We're looking at basically 4 hours total per week, so we're not looking at that much money. And how many weeks were they going to do that? Do you remember?
I think we said 7.
So it's not that much
If
money,
we started
but
this week, that is.
Yeah.
we want to get that.
Is there
on
a chance
the
for
books.
that? Or-
Yeah.
Well,
When they
we're-
start-
Say they got-
Oh, depending on this, okay.
Yeah, we
Well,
just
depending
need to
on
do
this
that.
and liability
liability
insurance.
Yeah, liability.
Joanne checked on liability insurance, and we don't have a definitive number on that yet, but
No.
it's
Probably
not going to be
around $600, maybe a little bit more.
for the entire time.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So it's not like $5,000 or $10,000 like I was afraid of.
And Justin also told me if there's any, if you guys have any worries about the cost of anything, we do have an account with the community foundation where we can back pay some of it as well. He just told me to mention that.
Eli, how'd you arrive at $12.50?
That was a good question. We just were talking about that in our group chat. The only reason we said $12.50 to you guys is because we agreed on $12.50 with the lifeguards. I don't remember our reasoning for it being $12.50, but we were just hoping you guys would be a little flexible with that since we already agreed with them that it was $12.50. I think if I remember correctly, it was because we're kind of, the lifeguards we have, we're kind of taking them away from their Harrison Hills gig for a short time. And that was kind of our way of compensating for that.
I kind of thought the same thing. I thought that, if we were paying them 30 hours a week, you might not want to pay them $12.50, but you're asking them to travel out here to the high school
For 4 hours.
for 4 hours.
They're gonna be out there for 4
No,
hours?
they're gonna be
2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay,
2 hours,
Three
but two
lifeguards.
Two
lifeguards for 2
so it'd be
hours.
4 hours.
3 lifeguards?
Yeah.
2.
I think we set on 3.
Oh, 3.
We're only going to have 2 at a time, though, right? That's what Justin said.
Okay, then go with what you
Gotta
said.
have an extra on.
Eli, I appreciate your transparency. I make a motion to approve that.
I second it.
$12.50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
So we'll change the salary ordinance to include $12.50 an hour for lifeguards for the summer program.
Pretty good.
Thank you, Eli.
Thank you guys.
Are we ready for Harrison Steel tax abatement?
Yeah.
I'm running out of things to talk about.
Sorry. Okay, got the schedule. I can pull it up very large if somebody wants to see it, but it's 100% the first year, 95%, 80%, 65%, 50%, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
That's over a 10-year period.
Over a 10-year period, yes.
Over 10 years, okay.
Mhm.
So how much are they gonna get this year then?
I think we're in the 95% abatement.
Okay.
And that may all go away
Yeah.
when Senate Bill 1 is
Might all be
implemented.
for moot anyways.
Yeah, they did midpoint.
Mhm.
But essentially what we're trying to look at, or what you guys are trying to approve, is did they comply with their statement of benefits that they had filed to obtain the abatement?
Right.
Normally, the number of employees retained is the highest one. We have somebody from our office that's doing one tonight, and they lost 30 employees instead of adding people.
Oh, no.
For example, they're out of compliance, but since they've added 4 additional from what they initially predicted, normally that's a good indicator that they're in compliance with their abatement.
Okay.
But again, it's up to you guys to make a motion. But after that gets, if it gets passed tonight, then it goes down to the Fountain County assessor to be added into their taxes.
I make the motion that we approve this.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sounds unanimous to me.
Please.
C? Oh, it's
Nope,
just C.
it's just an approval. Yep.
Okay, I promised you that I would let you know how my meeting today, or our meeting went today with Craig Haggard. Craig is a representative, state representative from down the Morrisville area. He wanted to talk about SB1, which we pled our case. Joanne actually had some documentation that she gave him to show how our revenues were going to drop off drastically with this bill as far as our tax revenues go. And, I pled the case that we don't have a way to make that up in any way, shape, or form under the current conditions. We're too small to levy additional taxes. We're too small to levy our own local income tax. If we do, we have to petition the county to do that, and they get 75% of whatever they collect if they choose to do so. So it's not a good situation. He promised to take that back. He's got another year in his current position. A lot of his visit was the fact that he's running for Congress of the United States, and so he's kind of mixing that in with his visit. We talked a little bit about that. Seemed like a very genuine, down-to-earth person. He was a fighter pilot for the Marine Corps. Very, very interesting history. Nate, as our council president, said in on the meeting. Nate, do you have anything to add? Or
There's an awful lot to digest in this SB1, really, just to get your head around the whole thing, but I don't like it.
No, I don't think any of us like it, and it's got
Didn't taste
me
very good.
It's got me very, very, very worried about how we're gonna, it's like I told him. I said nobody wants to pay property taxes. I don't want to pay them. None of us sitting here want to pay them.
But we all want the
But on the other
services.
hand, everybody wants the services that they pay for. We cut back on our brush pickup to once a month, and people are used to that, and some people aren't liking that. But if it gets cut out altogether because we can't afford for help, they're not going to like that either. And there's going to be a lot of things that may have to go by the wayside that we're currently doing that we may not be able to do any longer if we don't have a way to replace these revenues.
I'm worried about the roads.
Yeah.
Well, that was another one. The community crossings. And I think I mentioned this in our last meeting, but I'll say it again publicly. We had always put money in for a match. It was a 25% match, and community crossings provided 75%, and we've done that in July every year for many years. And we made the decision this last year to up the amount that we were putting in for our match to try to get ahead of the roads, because that was one of the chief complaints. The roads are not good. Well, the state came out and said no July community crossings. So that means there's not going to be any repaving this year. That hit us for about $1 million, which is huge, when it comes to repaving. And we really don't have a way to make that back up due to the size of our city.
And not getting off the subject, but what about the county, like our commissioners? Do they go after community crossings. They didn't used to. I know I think they do now.
Yeah, they do.
But I'm kind of concerned, like going out
They got
on
theirs.
Summit, once you get to a certain point, it's county, and that's bad shape out there. as you're
Oh, they
going
gave
out
us
of town.
that.
Yeah.
Remember? They gave us that.
Oh, so we need to get that.
Do you remember
we
that?
actually had it.
I
on
guess
our-
we have that out past,
We have it.
They
in
gifted
now.
it to us.
past RMC now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
remember
gift.
they gifted us that section of road. Even though
Oh,
it's not
well,
the
we need to
city.
get that fixed.
Yeah, it's bad. I would agree.
That was a heck of a deal.
But
Yeah.
that was actually on our list of roads
Yeah.
that needed to be repaired, and we had.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had about $1.8 million in the estimate for repairs, and I got that whittled down to the $1.2 million, and I thought we're going to be in pretty good shape here. And I had a pretty comprehensive list of places that really needed attention, and we had HWC update, or what they call a PAMP report, which is basically which roads they feel need to have the most attention based on the
Right.
traffic and all that. Well, that's all gone by the wayside. So next year we're poised and ready to apply in January. So hopefully we'll get some money from the state from community crossings in January. In order to apply for the second round of community crossings, my understanding you have to have that's reserved for communities that have a wheel tax, and we're not big enough to have a wheel tax. So we're just out of luck there on that. So if we don't get it the first of the year, we're not going to get it. So I've got HWC primed and ready to file that application January 1.
And I remember now the county gave it to us basically because they weren't gonna take care of it.
That's exactly right. That's what exactly
That's what it
right.
was,
Yeah.
This is probably a good time to pass around the offering plates, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's free to get in, but you gotta pay to leave.
Yeah.
Passwords are out there.
So that covers the Craig Haggard report for today. Something I added here, just usually we just adjourn, but do a little round table here and start with Dwayne. Do you have anything else for the group?
I can't think of anything right off.
Mr. Smith?
I have an update on the software that, I've been talking about. And unfortunately, Coach has had some macular degeneration that he was diagnosed with, and he had to have kind of emergency surgery. He also had his daughter graduating and sectionals at the end of the year, so he begged me to give him on the other side of his surgery. And so I said, okay, I won't have any updates for the city council meeting for this one, but he promised me to have a gift bag or something to offer next one. So that's.
I like the word free.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that's all I have.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Pointer?
I've got nothing but complaints, so I won't say too many.
That's okay. You can say them now.
A couple of yard mowings in my area, and then right where Cedar Street meets Maple in that intersection that's been in need of repair for 3 years.
That was on that list.
I'm sure it probably was. That's why.
Yeah, it was. Eric made sure that was on the list, and now it looks like it may be next year before it gets repaired.
That's
Mr.
all I've
Moss?
got.
I'd say a lot of my thoughts been on this SB1, something all of us need to really look into and start getting some kind of some idea to combat this thing. That's the only thing that's been on my brain.
I've talked to a couple, and I talked to Haggard, and he seemed to think that something's going to get done. He said that it's too far of a mess, and he was mentioning that this fellow named Jeff Thompson, who's kind of like the guy that kind of wrote the SB1 in the first place, said he's a reasonable guy, and what he was originally intending to achieve didn't quite get there, and he was saying that he thought that he would end up offering concessions to the SB1 because it's just going to cause so much grief. And so that was something I got out of my meeting with him.
Yeah.
I met with the council or the county council, some of the members were down meeting at Budrose, and so I stepped in on that one, and he talked more about it, so.
Yeah,
I'd like to think that too.
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
That's a
provision.
I mean, that's not a guarantee or anything.
No,
but,
no, not at all.
It's like I told him, I said, we can't be the only people in this boat. I mean, there's a lot of towns that are smaller than us and a lot of cities that are about our size. So
I can't imagine those cities that don't have a TIF or they don't have a food and beverage tax. I mean,
yeah,
knock on wood, I mean.
But that's not gonna replace.
yeah,
the
that's-
No, I don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
replace it, but at least there's something that
Right.
we have.
Well, and I shared this with Mr. Haggard when we met. The local income tax is part of Senate Bill 1. There's also property tax cuts, but the local income tax, LOIT, local option income tax, or LIT, local income tax, we get paid in three different funds for that. Certified shares come into our general fund, and that is 64% of our general fund is local income tax. We are losing 100% of 64% of our budget. We also have local income tax that goes into economic development, which is the fund you were asking about. And it also goes into public safety. Right now, public safety in Attica, it's earmarked for, well, fire, cough, cough, police. That's also going away, but under the options that we have to recoup some local income tax under Senate Bill 1, it earmarks it for EMS and fire only. We don't have EMS. And I don't know if that means that there's nothing going into the general, and literally the only option we would have to even use anything we could recoup would be for fire. And I'm not sure what impact that has since we have a fire territory in place, because their special property tax is protected under Senate Bill 1, as well as the RDC revenue stream is also protected. But basically, as it stands right now, we are losing over $1 million in our budget in local income tax.
out of 1.9.
Out of 1.9, which
Did-
was our budget.
When you
revenue.
talked to him today,
Yeah.
did you reiterate that to
What do
him?
you think,
I am
Kaylee?
assuming you did. What was his response to that? Because I think
He
sometimes they
voted
make these
against
bills.
Senate Bill 1.
Okay.
He voted against it. He understood completely. I gave him, all the figures. He said he was going to take them back. And, like Johnny said, they knew it was broken before it was passed.
Okay.
And, he's hoping that some of these issues get resolved, but, who knows?
I feel like that sometimes, we all do it. We think really big picture, but we don't, when it comes down to the nitty gritty,
Oh, no.
we don't look at who it's really going to affect. We think
Oh,
it's
I
such a great
agree.
idea, but
I agree.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's such a 64%.
And that's.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Yeah,
number.
that's huge, yeah.
So I guess
643,000 is what our revenue is in certified shares for general in 2025.
Joanne had a very good point when we talked to him today too, that, even if you put on this local income tax, basically you're moving the taxes from the property owners over to the earners.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily the same groups of people.
No, low
You know-
income's gonna be killed.
The property owners tend to be a little bit more affluent than maybe some of the wage earners. So now you're taking money away from the wage earners instead of the property and getting paid from the property owners. It's not a good situation. And I don't think that, I don't think the county's going to say, oh yeah, you can just keep all that. That's probably not going to happen.
I still say that can be
Well,
negotiated.
and
Oh, I'm sure it can, but
what Larry's talking about is if you are a municipality with a census above 3,500, you can impose your own local income tax up to 1.2%. But we have 3,200, and it's based on the most recent census, which was 2020. So the next census isn't going to be till 2030, and that's not going to benefit us right now. However, being under 3,500, we have the option to petition the county to impose on our behalf, which they could say no, but to impose upon our behalf up to a 2% local income tax, but the caveat is they could keep 75% of it if they choose to do that. And we don't know what the current formula is. Go ahead, Cindy.
I just want to know, is the Association of City and Towns?
Yes.
Oh, they're all over it.
all
Are
over
they-
it. They're all over it.
I mean,
They are
the
all
people
over
that needs to be addressed is the governor himself. I mean, he ran on this and he needs to be told it is directly affecting your constituents.
I would imagine he probably has been
You know, and
He's not
in mass, and if it means going down there to Indianapolis and demonstrating.
Matt voted for it.
He did?
He did.
Yeah, he did.
Why?
He did.
Did he give a reason?
You know,
They were kind of, it was
He's
kind of
got a
like,
YouTube video you
it
can
was
watch.
kind of like this.
He gave a video?
Yeah, on YouTube, he's got a video. You can watch it. I'll send it to you.
A lot of them were kind of like just, you know, they were new and vote for it because everybody's telling you to vote for it kind of thing. And, yeah.
You know, I'm sorry, but
That's
that doesn't cut it
dangerous.
when it's affecting your community. Then,
Yeah, but you can't blame it on a freshman, you know, it's because it came right from the very top, you know, so.
well, if you're tied to,
She stopped herself. That's all right.
I
Okay.
I
offered to
guess
donate.
sometimes you need to think for yourself and how is it really gonna affect
Bingo.
my people? Not somebody in Indianapolis, not somebody in Jasper, Indiana, where they can do things, not somebody that's got a population of at least 5,000. How's it gonna affect Williamsport, Indiana? How's it gonna affect West Lebanon? How's it gonna affect, Attica? And I'm saying across the board, all of them. You know, this is the number one bill that's affecting every single community. What's it gonna do to you? And if everybody wants to do their homework and do their research, this is the best one to do it on. Because it is killing us. And
Just not just town and cities, but schools.
Oh, schools,
Yeah,
libraries,
struggle.
township trustees.
All right, we could beat this to death all night. Mrs. Kernahan, do you have anything?
I just wanted to say thank you for all the people that are here tonight and the people there are a lot of people here that volunteer their time for us with their different committees and everything. And I appreciate you being here, asking questions and participating and having your own meetings. And I appreciate it. It's away from your families. I know he's still thinking about me singing Dora the Explorer. So yeah. So I just want to say I appreciate you and I appreciate all of you because you.
I appreciate you too.
Thank you. I'm glad we can all work together. That was it. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn.
I got a second on that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
you're gonna be the first one on my roster.
Hey, if you're gonna do it, yeah, I'll coach.
You took my job then.